Good morning, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to this week's Weekly Energy Boost. Today, I'm here with Eitan, literally in the same room with me, and we are excited to share with you how to face life's storms. We mentioned last week the nature of this month is to force us to face things maybe that we thought were not a big deal suddenly appear to be a big deal. Situations look black and white, just or unjust, right or wrong. And this week specifically is giving us an opportunity to reflect on and grow from the greater surprises in our lives. Last week, we spoke about those daily turns of events that are unexpected, sometimes unwanted, and always not according to our plan. Through your questions and also what we found in the Zohar and the teachings about this week specifically, there's also a great opportunity to dig deeper into those bigger, more monumental surprises, changes, unexpected events to help us not only go through them in the best way possible, but also to understand how to support the people around us who may be going through something that feels enormous, to help them go through it with the most light and really to use the opportunity to grow and to elevate in the best way possible. So Weekly Energy Boost is always your 7-day spiritual weather forecast where we share with our listeners the most practical and powerful tools to navigate the coming 7 days through the wisdom and tools and teachings of Kabbalah. So every episode ends up offering up a practical way to address the week's opportunities. They're really opportunities that we might face any week of our lives. And this week is no different. The fact is that the only constant in life is change. And maybe that's easy to digest when it's something like plans get canceled or someone new gets hired on the team and it's out of the blue. But those bigger, more life transformative moments are not as easy to digest and to process. And so we're here to help those of you who are experiencing it, as well as to be more of a support system for anyone else who might be going through that. And of course, it's always helpful to look back on the past and take everything we're sharing today to better understand things that may have happened in your own history and help to process them to another level. So, Eitan, where should we begin?
So I think we should begin with understanding that it is expected that all of us will experience the two types of challenges that Elisha spoke about. The one is the day-to-day challenges. Things don't go according to our plan. But the major challenges, the challenges of death of someone, challenges of major sickness, the challenges of major financial catastrophe, the challenges of public humiliation, the challenges of divorce. So this is part of our spiritual journey. The main thing is, I think step number one, in order to speed up the process of growth, is acceptance, radical acceptance of what's actually happening in my life. Forget about solution. A person is going through divorce. The person will just diagnose that they have cancer right now. First, accept the facts. I'm not talking about, yes, spiritual acceptance, what can you do about it? Because the first step is being grounded about what's happening. Because one of the interesting things that we all went through some major challenges in our life. always after the fact. It can be a year later, 2 years later, 5 years later, 10 years later. Suddenly we're connecting the dots and we think, it was for my best. I needed it in my journey. That's not good enough Kabbalistically for us. Because we know, like the small challenges, even the big challenges are designed to help us to go to our next level. And it's up to us how fast that process will happen. We can always shorten that process with the right intention. But I would say step number one, accept the physical problem, the emotional pain. Accept what's physically happening in your life, accept how you feel it. Step number one. Soon we'll get to the next step. I'll ask you, Michelle, what do you think the next step and what do you advise to your students? But I think that's what's happening. I remember years ago being with my teacher, the Rav Berg, and someone very close, the family of the Rav, shared about major pain, healing situation in their life. I remember the Rav said to me, that person, and say, first let's accept we have a major pain in our life right now. Before solving anything, sitting in it for a second. Don't blame yourself, don't fix it. And faster you fully accept it, you begin to open the door for the desirable things aligning the energy of the universe, but using this to help us to jump and live to the next level. So what do you say the next level?
I think I don't even know if the next level, well, we'll get there in a second. I think a lot of people perceive spirituality, or if you're a spiritual person, that you immediately need to move into it's for the best. I see the light in it. It's all for my best. It's so important that we don't miss that step of acceptance and dealing with the emotions, acknowledging them, naming them, being real is really the only way to make sure that the process continues in not only a healthy way, but in a constructive way, that it's not a process that destroys us or diminishes us in any way, although maybe part of the process might mean taking space from certain things. That's not less what we're talking about here, and more in terms of we're in the physical reality for a reason, right? If we were meant to be purely spiritual, we wouldn't have the body, we wouldn't have the emotions, we wouldn't have the physical obstacles that we sometimes experience. So without, bypassing that initial, allowing the reality to download and seeing what's going on as it is a must. I think depending on the actual situation, what are the next steps? Then you bring in, and for me, it often helps to talk to someone who's not in the midst of it. Sometimes when you're in the middle of something, it's very hard to separate yourself from the pain and from the rawness that it can awaken. Sometimes it helps to have someone to talk things out, express yourself, journaling, things like that. But even moving into that spiritual mode of acceptance and working through it and embracing the process for what it can give us, the allowing, maybe it's also even that step of talking to someone else is also about asking for help. Being not allowing the isolation that challenge can bring to pull you back. Again, you may need some time to process and to go through what you need to go through. But I've seen a lot of people when they go through something, I can say even for myself, my natural response is no one else is going to understand. I don't want to be judged. I don't want this to become who I am. So I'm going to keep it close to me and not invite the light and other people to support me in my process, which I think is a missed opportunity. And I definitely, after the fact, regretted the kind of shutting life and people out in the midst of a difficult situation.
Great. I want to talk about two specific examples that in the last couple of weeks I spoke with people that went through major challenging events. Well, there's a big difference between a little challenge or when the rug is pulled from underneath you. It's a big difference. And those are the situations. So one challenge, and one of my students just found out that their son, after being sober for 10 years, fell back into major addiction. Okay? And the first response, again, this major chaos and the pain that we went through, and panic mode beyond. First, accept, even though in the last 6 months they realized something wrong, but now actually they got the worst skills, which is better actually than the last 6 months. At least I know what's happening. Let's reach this pattern. And then let's look at this panic mode, this consciousness of panic. What is that panic? The consciousness behind this panic mode. Our sun is going down, we are going down, chaos. There's no creator, there's no purpose to it. Let's accept the fact. There's only one force that drives this universe. Force of realization. That force sometimes is apparent when we see blessings. That force is a little bit more concealed when we're going through little challenges, but we're able to embrace it. But the most time that force is concealed, when we have no control, the odds seem to be very slim to none, that things will turn to be great. I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. But this is the time to actually reach inside, when you begin the true shift of consciousness. The Creator is in the business. I have no control. I have no control over my son. I have no control if he actually will transform completely and will break out of these addictions. I have no control that it will be permanent. There is no promises. The only control that I have is to actually trust that this process is part of the divine. It's hard. I need a friend that has spiritual consciousness to communicate with you. A teacher, mentor, friend, spouse, somebody that is there not just to tell me, poor me, you're right, I feel so bad for you. Of course, you want someone with empathy, but you want someone that helps you to know that in the bigger picture, even this major down is part of actually the up. So, the next thing is catch the panic. Panic means I'm going down. No rules. God is out of the picture. Are you? And I'm not suggesting that by me changing that panic mode into trust, everything will be according to plan. I'm out of control. I'm surrendering. If you want to start to see help of the angels and the spirit above, if you are attached to consciousness of lack and fear and panic and uncertainty, and in the world of statistics and odds and the mind already thinking what will happen if this will happen, then you're vulnerable to lack. If you want support from the upper world, to help you to speed up the process of transformation. Feel the panic mode and then shift it to trust. It's part of the bigger picture.
You know, I'm thinking about, I've had a few conversations also at recent times with people that received news of illness and other scenarios that would definitely qualify to be in this category. And one of the things, as spiritual people, I met them through my work at the Kabbalah Centre. As spiritual people, they go right to, why is this in my movie? What can I learn from it? And it's too soon.
Too soon.
Yeah. So I learned many years ago, and through conversation with Karen Berg and asking for Karen's help in helping someone else. One of the things that Karen shared with me is that while the universe is giving you the lesson or the, you know, I love the word elevating, right? You're moving in the elevator. You can't really see what's at the next level until the elevator stops moving. So to be in that analysis mode, even the questioning along the lines of what good could come from this, in the midst of that process, it really is too soon to ask. And when we're focused on what's my lesson, we might actually be missing the growth and the opportunity that's right in front of us. I'm reminded of, we have a friend, and I might have mentioned this on a previous episode, but not for a very long time, that her father was very ill. And there was, at the time she was young, she was a teenager, and there was another family whose mother was ill, the wife was ill, and they were in the hospital at the same time. And after a very difficult and long illness, both parents from each family passed away. And, you know, it's a very unique situation because kids, knowing that the other family's kids are in the same boat in a way, even if it's one family, it was the father, one family, it was the mother, that there was this sort of divine message of, you'll be fine. You're going to make it. This is the way it's supposed to be, and hang on. And later on down the line, the surviving spouses married each other and they became a family. But if you had asked those kids and their surviving parents in the moment, what good could come from it? Or what's my lesson? Or where is the light in this? I think without allowing the process, and of course, grief is something that is not there isn't an endpoint to it. It's really an evolution or a journey of changing the relationship with the grief and with the loss. Being present to what's happening in every moment is also a big part of it. And being able to be in that space of, I'm in pain, and I imagine that the people that you spoke with the situation with their son, it is painful. And sometimes that pain is so great, it makes it difficult to be present in other things in life. And I go back to that story about those two families, because I'm sure for the parents that survived, it was difficult, right? It's not only the loss of a parent, it's loss of a partner, and to be able to grieve and be there for their kids and the whole procedure that happened. Yet somewhere on down the line, there was greater goodness. And that process also brought them to spirituality. So both partners embraced spirituality, and that became something, a hidden gift in the process, which I believe many times struggle does bring people to ask questions and open themselves up to greater meaning and purpose. The point is that the lesson is at the summary of the story, and not while the story is unfolding. You may have glimpses and glimmers. This makes sense. Or I remember when I was younger and this happened to so-and-so, I watched them go through that, and now it's happened to, you can still be reflective, but to truly download the, why is it in my movie, and how I'm meant to grow from this, it really comes toward the end of the, as the wave is calming, then you can gain the perspective and start to understand better why it's in your movie. when you're in the midst of a betrayal, for example, or humiliation, and dealing with the pain and the everything that comes with it, it becomes even hard to think.
Actually, I totally agree with you, because I've seen many times, and I used to have this tendency as well. Whenever I'm going through a major challenge, so instead of first allow myself to go through it and allow myself to trust as a bigger picture, and allow myself really to be here and to be elevated by it, I used to go through what did I do wrong that caused it, and it were downloads of partially true mistakes that I've done. But if I'm really honest with myself, did it help me? No, actually. It's actually caused me to self-judge myself. And you know how you can measure it? Ask yourself a simple question. Is the process that you're going through strengthening your immune system or weakening your immune system? When you're learning lessons from looking forward to go to your next level, it's strengthening your energy, your joy, your hope, your certainty in the future. When you question, what did I do wrong? And you beat yourself up, I messed it up, that's the reason it's happening to me. It's using some truth in the wrong timing. Of course, in every complete process in our life has to be a lesson, because I need to take some true wisdom about how to act in the next chapter in my life different. But I have to be actually sensitive when is the right time to go there.
No, it's true, because we often teach, and it's written in many different Kabbalistic texts, that the best time for self-reflection is at the end of the day. And if you're doing it during the day, that process of, here's a mistake I made, and next time I'm going to do this differently, or, wow, I was really judgmental, or I should have said this nicer. The Kabbalists give that, it is important to go through the whole day and identify both the successes, things that went well, or that you went to the next level in, but also the things that you can look out for, the opportunity to do better next time. We're supposed to do that at the end of the day, because when we're doing it in the middle of the day, we're not present, right? If you and I are having a discussion and I'm thinking to myself, oh, you're such an idiot, why did you say that? I'm not listening to you anymore, right? And in the scheme of a greater process, the same is true. If you're busy thinking what you did wrong and how the universe is punishing you and you're not a good person and all the other things that might come with feeling victim, or even, it's not only a victim, right? Sometimes there are certain things that happen in the course of a person's life that we know are going to happen, but we hope they're not going to happen as a surprise or, in the wrong timing. And there is this, I can even think of so many times that people have asked me, they've told me that so many people they know are dying. What did they do? Why are so many people in their life dying right now? Now, I always joke, it's a little bit arrogant to think that other people dying has to do with you, that you're so powerful that you make other people die. But the reality is, if we're busy trying to understand what did we do to deserve something, we're like you said, using the right information at the wrong time and not present to be receiving or processing the best or the most elevated version of what we're going through.
Beautiful, absolutely. So I want to speak about another step, which is essential. And that concept in Zohar called broken heart or open heart. It's a cosmic opening. It's a cosmic opening whenever we face, or someone that you love, going through these major moments of challenge in our life. So the idea that I have no control, it's not intellectual, it's not spiritual. I feel out of control. And again, it either can go both two opposite ways. One way is I become more of a victim and more desperately looking for reactively for some relief, or I'm opening myself to the Creator, to God, the Creator. I'm out of control. I'm broken. I cannot fix it. The disease, the situation, my child, the divorce, or any other major pain in my life. Actually, you feel it. You don't have to think it and do a spiritual lesson. You're broken. You're out of control. The only way that can assist me is the Creator. This is a gift. The Zohar tells us that we're coming from a broken heart, but not a victim. Broken heart, in knowing that the only one that can assist me, number one, to find trust that it's a healing process. Number two, even to elevate from that, if power of elevation means miracles, if power of elevation means whatever shift and changes that will turn the circumstances around to show me that it's all for the best without specific expectation, because this is dangerous. That's broken and open heart. Whenever you come to the Creator of a broken heart, I'm out of control, I'm not entitled, but I'm begging for help, for change, for growth, spiritually, physically, without specific attachment to how the change will happen, you will see help coming instantly. There's a saying, the cow wants to feed the calf more than the calf wants to drink from the cow. The Creator wants to give us support more than what we want. And in those moments, we're truly seeking, and we know there's nothing else beside the Creator itself. And especially if you have tears in those moments, not tears of victim, tears of true craving for support. It is a powerful power of the process, if you take it that way, that can bring so much healing and miracles, not necessarily according to my specific expectation.
You know, I'm thinking about the connection between what we spoke about last week and what we're talking about this week. Usually people are better at one than the other. So some people are better at, rolling with the punches on a daily basis. Okay, this didn't work out. Let's go. Let's move on. Next, pivot. And some people, and I don't know if you've experienced this also, when something major happens, they trust it's from God. I don't trust why this idiot cut me off on the highway, but I trust that if a person is going to go through a sickness, they're going to be healed, and it's all from the Creator. But when someone cancels or someone changes or someone does something, when a person does something terrible, it's harder to see the light of the Creator in that process. So part of why I'm bringing that up is because if you have a harder time with the bigger picture things, working, stretching yourself, building those muscles on the small things can help you be more resilient in the face of more major upset. But also for those of you who see God in the big things, but not in the daily, right, the day-to-day challenges or upsets, it's to know that the infinite genius of the universe and the way that the Creator positions all of us and everything we go through is that the same person who's going to need the opportunity to choose to be selfish or selfless is going to cross paths with a person who needs a opportunity to rise above a betrayal or a rejection or some sort of hurt. And that's happening for 8 billion people. That the whole universe is orchestrated in such a way that we're going to cross paths at exactly the best time. And if we miss it, right, that person chooses selfishness over selflessness, or we don't see the opportunity for what it is, it will come back. And that's one of the important reasons to pay attention to those moments and to recognize the elevator it's trying to lift us to the next level in those moments, not simply so we'll have less chaos, right? The benefit is, if you're aware, you may need less chaos to wake you up, but also that the strength and the elevation that's waiting for us doesn't have to come with such force. When you're paying more attention to the small things, you don't need as many big things to wake you up.
Mhm.
That's it.
And if I can say the final thing that I think, because in some point, of course, you need to focus and be open. What is the change? What is the lesson? And for me, it's simple. I'm going through this process in order to come out of it a better person, a better human being. And just ask yourself, because it's very easy to see it clearly in the midst of pain. Yes, I'll change, absolutely. But actually, to use this energy and to remember it for the rest of your life, it's powerful. It's a gift. Because sometimes that's what it takes to transform to the next level of sensitivity to other people's pain and situations, being more present, being less selfish in specific areas in our life, being much more kinder, taking care of myself, letting go of the stupid worries of the day. When we're in the midst of the pain, we realize it was such a nonsense. It takes a lot of energy to take this lesson and to carry it for the rest of our life. I meant to upgrade my frequency of being a better human being afterwards. And when I'm actually letting myself go through this process, it's the difference between chaos and major challenge. Major challenge is still known as divine supervision. Chaos is me, I'm alone.
Well, hopefully after today's episode, we'll all approach not only our own storms, but also the storms that people are experiencing around all of us with a different perspective, and also to offer a different kind of support in those journeys. Weekly Energy Boost is available on all podcast platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. You can follow us in those platforms to receive more content to support you in applying what we talk about every week. You can also go to our website, weeklyenergyboost.com, or you can find our archives. We share some of the things we think are important for our listeners to know. And you can click the donate button to help make our podcast possible. But as always, share this episode, rate and review if you haven't already. That allows us to reach more people and to make more of a difference, not only in individuals' lives, but in the entire world. And we'll see you next week on the Weekly Energy Boost.